semen retention and its general impact on our sense of masculinity, vitality, creativity. Both men in ancient times, supposedly, and men in modern times who are tripping across this ancient wisdom are advised not to ejaculate and actually to retain their semen or their seed or their essence. Such an interesting word for it. The man's essence. To retain one's essence inside the body, as there are known to be a number of wondrous and important side effects from such practice. And there are a few ways of doing this, particularly what you can do with the shape of your body. So yoga, qigong, there's all kinds of physical acrobatics, breath work one can do to open channels in the body, so that semen retention is less burdensome and more pleasurable, or it's even possible. But a lot of men go about this purely through abstinence. Like, I just decide that I'm not going to ejaculate and I'm going to keep it within myself at all costs. And therefore you are, in a way, damming yourself up, right? Just trying through force and will to make sure there's no slippage or accident or explosion. Would you say that's a good definition to start off with, Zan, or would you add anything to that from what you've perceived?
So what I heard from you is that there's supposedly an ancient practice of this. Herodotus talked about it. Yeah. And men are stumbling across that ancient practice and saying, I'm going to apply that to my modern life for a variety of reasons. And there's two approaches to that, which is one, just dam it up and hope for the best on a physical level, or one, dam it up and be conscious about what you're doing and try and reflect on it and do it as a purposeful, mindful, meditative type thing. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Those are two, I guess, differentiated approaches. And then the third would be actually to do a number of physical things, right? So either do some raw physical fitness, or in particular, some esoteric, yogic, or kind of Taoist practices with the body. So that because what you're dealing with is a lot of discomfort, right? Which is why I've got this pent up force, this sense of drive within me, and the biological urge is to expel it. And so, one needs to do things physically in order not to succumb or ejaculate and to lose this vital essence.
You have to distract your mind.
Yeah, or allow. And what a lot of tantric instruction has said, actually, what you do is, if you open up the body, actually the kind of dense, heavy, lusty, strong force of that sexuality actually has the possibility of almost like you're boiling it. People talk a lot about alchemy, actually, in this kind of work. So you get this lead, or you get this thick, heavy substance, and somehow in your body you burn it so it becomes less solid, more liquid, more gaseous even, and it can actually rise up through the body. And in some meditations, you're lifting more liquid, more gaseous energy up through the spine, and you're circulating actually your essence, your sexual energy through the body with breath and with meditation.
Is that a measurable process chemically, or is it something that is described and assumed? Because it's an actual thing.
Described and assumed and road tested through millennia of inner science.
I see. So then they describe it because this is what it, but on a chemical or medical or scientific level.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a great question. I would imagine the science falls a long way behind the mystical folklore or the mystical, real kind of, how do you call it, passed down knowledge of how to work with the human self and all its instincts.
I've never heard of that, so that's why I'm asking the question. Is it something that they met? That there's all kinds of disciplines and practices that talk about moving energy around in the body and ether and this kind of stuff. So I'm just trying to get a frame of reference on what exactly you're talking about there. So.
Yeah, I mean, I could dive deeper into what I've seen and explored with the actual esoteric practices.
What do you think of it?
What do I think of it? Semen retention as a practice and a theme.
Well, we know it's a practice, but what do you think of the truth? The implications of it.
Well, I'm going to speak from personal experience because I certainly don't want to stand up and think that I've come to some kind of overarching truth on the matter. I think that's a really important distinction. When I was 30, that was when I first started coming across different tantric and spiritual teachings. And one of the first things that I heard and read when it comes to men is that generally semen retention is a good thing. And even if you're not hardcore monastic about it, like you make an oath that you're never going to come, it's good not to whack off every day. Or if you have the power to sustain, that's a good start. So one of the first things offered to me was a 21-day challenge. See if you can not ejaculate for 21 days.
And let me just introduce the extent to I've heard of it was the athletes in the ancient Greek athletes and the Olympic athletes and the marathon runners or the marathoners, they had this practice. If I recall, and I just dimly kind of remember that from the periphery of my. I don't know too much about the historical practice, but that's
okay.
Right.
So this is going back to ancient Greece. So you've got kind of ancient Western reference to this kind of practice.
That's my connection to it, and it wasn't a mystical thing. It was more like it was because the collapse a man has after he's ejaculated, which is a very real thing. Lack of motivation, lack of you just want to sleep and this kind of thing. That was obviously a known thing, and I think what I recall is that the Greeks and certainly the athletes said we got to keep that tension and that life force and that fight in our practicing up to this athletic experience of athletic event. That's the extent of what I know about historically.